You won't believe what happened to my son. One minute, he was just walking home from his part-time shift at the grocery store. The next, a black SUV rolled up beside him, and two men in dark uniforms jumped out. Their sleeves had patches that read HOA cops. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. Michael is only 14 years old. He's shy, quiet, and not the type to cause any trouble. But that didn't matter to these guys. One of them flashed a cheap metal badge, the kind you could order off the internet. Neighborhood ordinance, the man said, his voice sharp. No minors walking around unsupervised after dark. You're coming with us. Michael stammered. I'm just walking home. I live right here in the neighborhood. Save it, the second man barked. We enforce the rules. You're detained. Before Michael could react, they twisted his arms behind his back and shoved him toward the SUV. His phone slipped out of his pocket and hit the pavement. Thinking fast, he kicked it under a bush before they noticed. That small act of courage would end up exposing everything. Back at home, I was setting the table and wondering why he was late. Michael always texted if he got held up. By the 30-minute mark, I opened our family locator app, and my stomach dropped. His phone was pinging near an abandoned strip mall, nowhere near his normal route. I tried calling him, straight to voicemail. A second, then a third attempt. Nothing. My chest tightened. Something was very, very wrong. I grabbed my keys and headed out, calling my deputy on the way. Track this plate for me, I whispered after spotting the SUV near the strip mall. Black, no markings. Plate number. I rattled it off. 30 seconds later, he called back. Boss, that's not law enforcement. It's privately registered. Do you need backup? Not yet. My jaw clenched. Not until I knew Michael was safe. I eased my car behind a dumpster and watched. The two men dragged Michael into the shell of an old office building. He stumbled but didn't resist. Even from a distance, I could see the fear in his small frame. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. These weren't cops. They were imposters. And they had just kidnapped my 14-year-old son. They thought he was just another kid. They thought I was just another parent. What they didn't know? I wasn't just Michael's mom. I was the district attorney, and the law was about to come crashing down on their heads. I stayed in my car, heart pounding, but head clear. Years in the courtroom had trained me to control my fear. But this wasn't a case file or a defendant sitting across from me. This was my son. I slipped my phone into recording mode and zoomed in. Through the cracked windows of that old office building, I caught glimpses of Michael's. They'd tied his hands with zip ties and sat him on a folding chair like some sort of criminal. My pulse roared in my ears. He was just a kid, 14 years old. The taller man paced in front of him, barking fake charges like it was some kind of performance. You violated neighborhood ordinance. No minors unsupervised. Your parents will have to pay a fine of $500 if you want to go home. My stomach turned. Extortion. That's all this was. These guys weren't even subtle. The second man leaned against the wall, scrolling on his phone. What if mommy and daddy don't cough up? We call child services? He smirked, like he'd said something clever. That was enough. My blood ran hot, but I forced myself to stay methodical. I dialed my deputy again. It's a kidnapping. 2 adult males, fake law enforcement patches, private vehicle. My son is restrained. I'm moving in. He didn't hesitate. We're rolling. ETA 4 minutes. Do not engage alone. But they didn't know me. Sitting still wasn't an option. I stepped out of my car, heels crunching on gravel, and strode straight to the entrance. My badge, the real one, not some knockoff from a novelty store, gleamed in my hand. I kicked open the door with a force I didn't know I had. District Attorney Monroe, I snapped, voice booming across the room. Unhand that child immediately. Both men froze. Their smug expressions evaporated like mist in the sun. You can't just barge in here, the tall one stammered. Actually, I can, I shot back. You're in violation of 18 U.S. Code 912, impersonating an officer. You're also looking at California Penal Code 207, kidnapping. That's life in prison if convicted. Want me to keep going? The second man's phone slipped from his hand. He muttered, She's bluffing. I took a step closer, eyes locked on his. Try me. I don't bluff. You just abducted the son of the district attorney. Right then, red and blue lights flashed across the boarded-up windows. Sirens wailed, getting closer. The cavalry had arrived. Michael's eyes widened with relief, tears brimming but unfallen. I steadied my voice, for him more than them. It's over, I said flatly. The law is here, and you're not walking out free. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe, because the story is only going to get better. The sirens cut off outside, and the heavy slam of car doors followed. Within seconds, real officers stormed into the abandoned office space, weapons drawn but controlled. "Hands where we can see them," one barked. The two fake enforcers stiffened, their bravado gone. My son, Michael, sat frozen, his wrists still bound in plastic ties. I moved first, kneeling at his side, snapping the cheap restraints with a practiced tug. He threw his arms around me, trembling but safe. The taller imposter tried to sputter excuses. This isn't what it looks like. We were just enforcing HOA rules." "Quiet," I cut in, my voice sharp as glass. "Under 18 U.S. Code 1201, seizing and transporting a minor without authority isn't just detention. It's kidnapping. You're done talking." The officers flanked them, cuffing both before they could stammer another word. I stood, straightening my blazers, every inch of me the prosecutor I was trained to be. "Officers," I said clearly, "I am District Attorney Monroe. You are arresting these men for multiple felonies." I pointed at the taller one first. "Charge them under 18 U.S. Code 9112, impersonating a federal officer. They wore fake uniforms, displayed false patches, and used that to detain my son." I turned to the second, who wouldn't meet my eyes. "Charge them both with California Penal Code 207, kidnapping. They unlawfully restrained a 14-year-old minor with intent to extort money from his family. That alone carries the potential of life in prison." The lead officer nodded, already jotting it down, but I wasn't finished. "Add extortion under Penal Code 518. They demanded $500 for his release. And while you're at it, tack on child endangerment under Penal Code 273A. They threatened to call child services if we didn't comply. Every single statute applies, and I will personally see to it these charges stick." The room was silent except for Michael's shaky breathing. The men were shoved toward the exit, their fake HOA cops patches hanging loose, peeling like the lies they built their power on. One of them twisted his head toward me, desperation breaking through his mask. We were told this was legal. We thought we had authority." I stepped forward, my tone low and final. "Authority doesn't come from a patch you order online. It comes from the law, and the law is what's going to bury you." Michael squeezed my hand as we walked out into the cool night air, the flashing patrol lights painting streaks of red and blue across his face. He whispered, "Mom, I knew you'd come." I kissed the top of his head. "Always." The officers loaded the two men into the back of separate cruisers. Their futures were sealed. No HOA president, no neighborhood board, no flimsy excuse could shield them from what was coming. And as I guided Michael into my car, I let the weight of it settle in. This wasn't just about my son anymore. It was about sending a message. Fake badges, fake power, fake authority. The law doesn't bend for frauds. It breaks them. Because in my county, when you come after a child, especially mine, justice doesn't wait for court. It begins the moment I walk through the door.